love your voice. Okay, so the theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. The theme for November is loving the unlikable. And today's topic is the soul of an octopus. Thomas Kelly affirms, deep within us, there is an amazing sanctuary of the soul, a divine center in which we may always return. It is a light within which illuminates the face of God. And Sy Montgomery, a naturalist, then reflects, I think all animals have souls. I feel certain that if we have souls, octopuses have souls too, which demands a certain level of sacredness. Look around. The world is holy. It is full of souls. Let us affirm, my soul is as deep and vast as the ocean, filled with boundless, unconditional love. Boundless, unconditional love. Speaking of which, let me introduce Reverend Kathleen.
And so we bring this beautiful series of Sunday messages to a conclusion today. And so now you see why the octopus was part of the graphics every week. We're going to be talking about the soul of the octopus. And as I was contemplating this, I was thinking of the different things that I've seen on PBS about how brilliant these beings are. They have huge brains and the intelligence. And so more about that later. As we, again, contemplate this idea of loving the unlikable, I was drawn to a very famous proverb, chapter 4, verse 7. And these are attributed to King Solomon. Words are, wisdom of King Solomon. And it says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And it goes on to say, and this is the one that a lot of people really know, with all thy getting. Say it louder, Michelle. Okay, let's do it again. With all thy getting. Get understanding. A little bit louder. With all thy getting. Get understanding. Right. So loving the unlikable then is attuning to a willingness. It's a wisdom. It's a wisdom of knowing the importance of gaining understanding about anything in life. And it all goes back to the principle of oneness and love. When we understand that everything emanates from one infinite universal oversoul, another word for God, that each and every creation, each and every life form has a soul, is a part of God, is an expression, an individualization of God. And then I was thinking about Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, one of my most favorite books, where he did muscle testing to answer universal questions and was able to calibrate the consciousness level of everything from grass on up. And so, even these things that we've often have not realized. I mean, we call them life. It's sentient beings. Those even some grasses or trees or whatever have a soul, have consciousness, awareness of some level. And so whatever we think of, every creature, plant, animal, insect, fish, and so on, has a soul. So if we can tune into that, that can really help us shift that reactivity to things that we have gotten the opinion of are unlikable. And we can therefore tune into our hearts with understanding, gain love. So that's what the whole focus has been this entire month, and different aspects of it. And today we're going to be focusing on the soul of an octopus. And so Sy Montgomery is a really interesting woman. I haven't read her book, but I've certainly I went online and just did a little bit of research on her. And she not only works with octopuses, she's become acquainted with all kinds of animals. And I could tell just by looking at her photos. Anyway, there she is with the octopus. So what she has discovered in her time developing relationships with different octopuses is the high level of intelligence. And that's why she was very clear that all animals have souls, because she experienced it herself. And she said that we already talked about the large brains, but unique personalities. Like she was talking about Athena, one of the octopuses that she said is as beautiful and benign as an angel. Isn't that sweet? They have skills. They have all these amazing camouflaging skills. We know about the ink, right? But did you know that they also will cover themselves with shells? Yeah. You'd never know there was an octopus there, except you can see a little bit over there. They will disguise themselves with shells to protect themselves from predators. It's amazing. So obviously with all their little legs, they're holding onto all those shells to cover themselves up. So it's so amazing. They have reasoning abilities. Like you can give them a jar of food in the water, and they'll figure out how to unscrew it so they can get to the food. Amazing. Amazing talents. And also, she discovered they have an awareness of life and death when one of their fellow octopuses passes on. There's a mourning process that takes place. And so recent research has confirmed that it's not just these so-called smart creatures or whatever that have this intelligence, but they've seen it all across the board with all kinds of life. They've found out that trees have this incredible network of roots and mycelium that connect them as well. There's this whole collaborative thing going on underground where they communicate with each other, they share nutrients, and if one of them falls, there's a collective mourning of all the trees in the area that are connected. And again, they're able to do this by noticing a stress response with their scientific instruments. And here's the thing, and Dan and I actually saw a special on this. Even slime molds demonstrate problem-solving skills. If you give them a maze and there's something in the center that they want, they will find their way. No place where it's missing. Isn't that what we talk about all the time? God, there's no spot where God is not. So as we expand our hearts and gain this understanding, what happens? Awe and wonder. Awe and wonder at this amazing thing called life. So I'd like to tell a story. There was a group of students who were asked by their teacher to give a list of what they thought were the 7 wonders of the world. And so she started gathering all their answers and were tabulating it. And so they came up with, the usual Great Pyramids, Taj Mahal, Grand Canyon, Empire State Building, St. Peter's Basilica. And he said there's no creation without play. That's really good news, isn't it? For those of us who like to play, who like to be playful. Right, Jen? Yeah, that playfulness is the place where awe and wonder and creativity all kind of work together on our behalf and on the behalf of all others. So, more playfulness, friends. Let's just play around a little bit more and have more fun. Yeah, that's my invitation. That's your work this week. That's your homework. Go and play and have some fun. Be in awe and wonder. So, as we cultivate this thing called awe and wonder, there's a tendency then to lean into curiosity. And I have been learning the power of curiosity more and more when I've had reactions to something. I go, wait a second. And sometimes I don't think about it right away, but I go back and I go, oh, this is an opportunity for curiosity. So there's a piece, a quote that's from Ted Lasso, the character. Anybody watch Ted Lasso? I know a lot of people really love that. I've only seen one. But anyway, he quoted Walt Whitman, and he said he ran across that quote, "Be curious, not judgmental." And he realized then that all of the guys who used to belittle him, he said they lacked curiosity. He realized they lacked curiosity. They thought they had it all figured out, and so they thought they had the right to judge and put down everyone and everything. And so therefore, they didn't really know anything about him because they didn't have the curiosity to ask him about who he was. So anytime there's judgment, anytime we find ourselves saying, I hate this, or I don't like this, or blah, 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 whatever it is, that is a cue. That is a cue to listen, to turn within, and to move into curiosity, to learn, to be willing to understand what's going on. There's a quote that I have here from Kazu Haga. He's a nonviolence and restorative justice trainer. He said, when we understand people's stories, their actions and ways in which they hurt people makes sense. Now, this is not about condoning hatred or violence at all. I'm not doing that. So just let's be really clear. But what it is, it's learning to soften our hearts so that we don't carry around poison of anger and resentment and hatred in our bodies. So that we can say, okay, there's understanding, and we can't allow this to keep happening, whatever it is that's going on. Or I'm going to do something like the nonviolence workers who are working to help transform people's consciousness So they're more awake to impact of saying I hate something or I hate someone, that the impact on their body temples, that it's a very unhealthy way to go through life. So curiosity then helps us to look beyond the surface and the behaviors that are going on directly to the soul of the person, and understand that underneath that veneer of what's going on is actually the soul of the divine. And so there are people that can, that's, when we know that people can transform. I mean, I'm a great example of that. I've transformed a lot over the years, and I keep transforming. I understand that this is a journey of letting go of all that doesn't serve, and moving forward. So I'm always willing and available to grow and to receive feedback and to discern. So again, curiosity helps us move into a state of empathy and understanding. Again, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. With all thy getting, get understanding. Oh, a lot of you didn't say anything. I noticed that. Okay, let's try that again. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get understanding. Well, I tripped you up, didn't I? I did the first sentence. Okay, let's listen. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. Okay. With all thy getting, get understanding. There we go. Okay. Okay. So with understanding, we move into a place of the principles of love and oneness, spiritual principles, that everything has a soul. When we know everything has a soul, we understand that we're all connected. There's a place, a part, a role that every type of organism is playing in the great big scheme of things, whether it's a microorganism or it's the great blue whale. The huge animals all have a soul. So here's what I'd like you to do. And just turn to a partner and think about something that you find unlikable. You don't have to develop affection for it or anything, but something you find unlikable. And be willing to understand. Just take a moment and see if you can understand maybe what the motive is or what the role is that plays. So turn to someone next to you and have a discussion. Okay? Something you find unlikable and what you're willing to understand. Awareness is the first step to enlightenment. So when we become aware of our complaints, when we're aware of the complaints that we're having, I hate this or whatever, as soon as you become aware, then you have an opportunity to shift and move into curiosity and understanding. And it is such a gift. And you know what's going to happen is you will flourish and you'll contribute to the flourishing of all creatures on this planet.